The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Probably one of the best graphics we have here on TKR on Tony Kurre Radio and wherever you get your podcast. Info at TonyKurreRadio.net, by the way, is our email. You can send your email questions. We call them hot mail. It's Darkside of the Pooch. He's Dr. Rab Stewart from the Rossbridge Animal Hospital at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter. The Rossbridge Animal Hospital, of course, on Facebook. Their number, of course, 205-208-0301. You can call them any single time. And, of course, this is Darkside of the Pooch, and he's Dr. Rab Stewart. He's the man. He's the owner. What's up there, Dr. Rab? How are you?
The graphic is really good.
I mean, the graphic's fantastic. It's our blue healer. That is a Lizzie dog. And you came up with the name of the show, which was something I had not even thought of. I love the fact that you married classic rock and pet care all into one. You nailed it. You did good there.
Well, I don't know. You know, when you grow up on the best music around, you know, it's hard not to.
There you have it. Our proud sponsor is Ed's Pet World. Seth, Angie, the entire crew down there. I went down to Ed's a couple of days ago. I had a mass kill-off. I lost 18 fish in 2 days. Had some fungi in my tank. Went down there and tried to save it, but it looks like I'm going to be going back down there to get my fish, to get my sugar gliders, to get my ferrets, my rabbits. Easter's right around the corner. They've got all kinds of beautiful snakes, tarantulas. If you're into exotic pets, check out Ed's Pet World. And, of course, Seth also travels the world looking for the best in collectible toys, watches, stuff from Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, you name it, Legos. They got tons of Legos down there. Check out Seth and, of course, Ed's Pet World. We always like to start the show with a couple of interesting topical stories, and we'll do that with Taylor Swift's cat. I also have a personal question that we'll get to some emails. That sound good?
Yeah, but you got to be careful with the fungus in your tank. I mean, that could be misconstrued in so many ways.
Yeah, the last time I had, it didn't last 2 days. The last time I had fungus in my tank, that is, and it almost killed me too. I sent you a story the other day. Taylor Swift adopted 3 cats, and one of her cats is now worth $89 million. Not because it's a particular type of breed, but because of its Instagram. I guess they can put a value on this thing. She's used this cat in some of her ads. I think she's actually sang a song about her cat. And so they formulated what this cat is actually worth, $89 million. I'm going to dumb it down though. What is the most expensive breed of cat and or dog? And what is the most you've ever heard of someone paying for such breed?
You know, I'm not sure like what the most, I don't know if there is a most expensive. I mean, I'm sure that you could find someone who's paid the most for an animal, but purebred cats, they can get super expensive. Like Devon Rex and Scottish Foal and, you know, just breeds like that, like Manx, you know, just stuff that you don't see every day. Mm-hmm. Those are super expensive. I mean, they can be thousands and thousands of dollars. And I would venture a guess that some of these rarer cat breeds are much more expensive than a dog you can buy.
And that's probably because of, for course, of their rarity. And I would venture to guess that because cats usually live twice as long as dogs, you're getting more bang for your buck, right?
Yeah. I mean, cats are, I mean, it's really not out of the realm of possibility that cat can live to be 18 or 19 years old pretty easily, you know, where it's kind of a rarity to get a dog that age. And
I think it's important because we have I've had mutts my entire life, but we have kind of gotten into some purebreds over the last several years. And I'm not saying that one breed is better than any breed. I think you'll agree, since you have mutts in your house, that sometimes mutts are the best dogs you can have because they have so much character and stuff. But I will say this, I do some shopping and do some back work. We talked about breeders here. You know, look at your surroundings. If you're off some county road and some guy's in a trailer with cages of dogs, chances are you're going to probably get a sick one. You're not going to get a good deal. Make sure they got their pedigree papers. Make sure they have the right shots and everything you're getting. Do you have anything you want to add to that particular thing when you're looking for purebreds?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it, except if you could have a look at the parents, if it's possible, to, you know, see where the puppy came from. I think that'd be a really good thing to do. That way you can see if they're in good shape and healthy, and you can, most people can get a feel on if a pet's healthy by looking at it, if it has any chronic conditions. So if they'll let you see the parents, I think that'd be really good. Or if they'll give you some references, and not just, and hopefully the references are good and they're not just, BSing you with their, cousin or whatever that this, just going to give you some good advice no matter what, or just give you a good recommendation. But those are two things you can do if they'll let you.
Yeah, this is Darkside the Pooch with Dr. Reb, Stewart Rossbridge Animal Hospital. We play this show at least 5 times a week right here on TKR, on the TKR app. And thanks to the 100,000 people who've downloaded the app. That's a fantastic number. I love that. And of course, wherever you get your podcast, brought to you by Ed's Pet World. I will say this, and I was going to analogize it like houses. I used to pull the trigger really quick on houses because as soon as I found a house that was perfect for me, I didn't want someone else to get the house. And so I'd always put a bid in too early and I ended up getting it, and then I'd find something better, across the street. When it comes to a live animal, particularly dogs, because they are so lovable and adorable and so engaging with a human being, unlike a lot of cats are, there's this attachment, right? I mean, if you're a dog person, if you're a dog lover, there's not going to be a dog you don't love. Unless it bites you the first time you see it, and chances are that's not going to happen. And so I've seen a lot of people, they could have gotten a dog, the same breed, for like $600, and you and I have a mutual friend that did this, and ended up paying $2,800 for a dog. And I'm like, that's just insane to me. Not to say that they're not worth something, but not that type of dollar amount. Do you know what I'm saying? I think people fall in love with animals, and they think someone else is going to get it. And sometimes you just have to wait a little bit because something better is coming on the other side.
Well, I think that if you do go and visit where the pet comes from, I think that you can get, a little information on that. And if a pet is coming from an area that is well kept, I would tell people that if you've got the exact same dog on paper,
yeah,
and one is $400 and one is $2,000, and you go to visit wherever these things are being sold, and you get a really good feeling, a much better feeling about the dog that's $2,000, then I would go with that. Now, if for to pay thousands of dollars for a dog or a cat, I would, the place that you're getting it from, needs to be in good shape. Like it needs to be clean and, not dozens of dogs running around and that sort of thing. Because, now, I love cars. I don't have any cars, but I love cars. I love to look at them and ooh and ah over them and, how expensive they are. There's a reason that they don't make a lot of Ferraris every year.
Yeah.
And it's because they take their time to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same way for dogs.
Yeah.
If you have a breeder that, has, a small breeding stock and that dog has one litter a year, at the most, those dogs are going to be more expensive. And they're probably going to be, if you're going to get a purebred dog, they're probably going to be very good.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that you can't go to the Humane Society and adopt a mixed breed dog that you will love just as much and may even be way healthier. Like I'm not promoting one versus the other, but what I am saying is there is value to be had in expensive dogs with breeders who don't pump out litter after litter.
How many litters can a dog safely have in a year? What's the optimal number? One a year?
Oh man, it just depends on like their cycle too.
Yeah.
So, some dogs may cycle a couple times a year, meaning that they can't have more than 2 litters a year.
Yeah.
And that's if they conceive. So, you can, in that regard, they're not unlike a, they're not unlike a person. Like, you can't get pregnant if you don't have a cycle.
True.
So,
really?
It depends on the dog.
You want to tell me more?
Yeah, sure. What else can
can I tell you? Are you a little late? Are you a little late today? It's okay, honey. You can be late. No, you can't. No. So we've talked about puppy mills on this show, and it's a real deal. First question is, Rossbridge Animal Hospital, you're the best. Do you have breeders that deal with you, or is that typically when you're a full-time breeder and that's kind of your job? Do breeders usually do most of their own veterinarian care as far as in shots and stuff go, or do you have breeders bring their dogs to you?
I mean, we don't have any like career breeders that we see.
Yeah.
Because I think predominantly, if they're that serious about it, then they're probably dealing with some specialty veterinarians, like people that did a residency in theriogenology, which is reproduction.
Yeah.
If you're really, really serious, okay, I guess I should say there are probably three kinds of breeders. Okay.
Mhm.
There's the really serious, high dollar, kind of boutique dogs.
Mhm.
And we do have one client that is a kind of a second home for a breeder like that.
Okay.
So the breeder kind of gives them the dog, or a couple of dogs, and they basically take care of it. They make sure that it's basically their dog, except they don't handle the repro stuff. They give it back to the breeder, and the breeder handles the repro stuff. So we do have one client that they have some pretty high dollar dogs, but they are not the breeder. So you've got a breeder that's like really, the volume will depend, but they're like a boutique breeder and they're a pro. Okay. Then you have the other breeder who is a backyard breeder, probably not a pro. Now, they could still make the majority of their money by breeding animals, but they're not a pro.
Yeah.
And, I think that there's a lot of industries that are like that. You have people like, just I'll throw, a title out there. Like if you have someone who does construction, I mean, everyone out there knows there are pros and then there are hacks.
Yes.
There just are. And so, breeding is no different. Like, you got the pros and they do a lot. They may do a lot of volume. They may not do a lot of volume. And then you got the hacks.
Yeah.
And they probably do a lot of volume.
Yeah.
And then you've got the in-betweens, which is where, a lot of people fall. I've got two dogs. I love them very much. They're very special. They're very beautiful. They're probably purebred. And I want them to have a litter. I just want one time, just one or two times. I want them to have a litter, and maybe I'll keep a couple. I'll give my friends some, that kind of thing. My mom has done that twice. My mom and dad did it when I was really young, when we had some miniature collies. And then my mom has done it in the last 4 or 5 years with some dogs at her house. So, there's that falls into kind of the middle.
Really? And does she sell them or she just give them away?
She gave them all away. I think she may have. She had a bunch of them. I mean, that dog. I mean, it's not. You can't control the number of dogs in a litter.
Well,
okay.
Is there anything that controls the number of? I mean, we know that if you have twins or triplets, chances are there's some genealogy there, or you've taken some type of fertilization. Is there anything that dictates how many pups a dog will have?
Well, the only thing that dictates it is how many eggs there are that the female makes, and how much and how
does that volume. Does that vary from breed to breed or no?
Oh, it varies from breed to breed and varies from dog to dog within the breed.
Yeah, and the size of the dog, I guess, too, right?
Yeah,
yeah, because big dogs can have more puppies because they're bigger to hold. They could be. I mean, my little Maxie had 4 pups and she was as big as a house. So
yeah, but see that just the size of the dog doesn't necessarily dictate how many puppies you have, because you got to think that everything is proportionate. Great Danes don't have Yorkie sized puppies.
Yeah.
And Yorkies don't have Great Dane sized puppies.
That would be awesome if they did.
Yeah. So you can have a Great Dane that has 2. In the litter, or you can have a Great Dane that has 12 in the litter.
Yeah.
Same with any breed.
Yeah. Dr. Rab Stewart, Rossbridge Animal Hospital. I always have a smile on my face when we do this show. I love it. Darkside, the Pooch. You can hear it at least 5 days a week here on the TKR app. Tony Kurre Radio, classic rock and roll the rest of the time, along with 13 other shows we do, man. We are rocking and rolling from 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and then classic rock. And of course, wherever you get your podcasts, we're available on every major industry. It's funny that you bring this up because my daughter is with me this week, and we were going back. She gets my phone, and I have nothing on there to hide. So she's looking through videos, and she found the video of Maxie giving birth to the 4 pups. And of course, they're coming out of her one at a time. And she's like, why are they green? What's that green? What's that green look? And I tried to explain it to her, but I want you to explain it to my office. And then I tried to tell her that there was a sack that is actually around the dogs, their pups, and that she needs to lick that sack off or chew that sack off so they can breathe. And then she said, does she eat it? Can you answer any of those questions for me, Dr. Rab Stewart?
That's the amniotic sac that's around them, and they chew it off. Sometimes sometimes they don't need to chew it off. Sometimes they're born outside of it. But yeah, sometimes it needs to be chewed up, and they may eat it. It's not that big a deal, and they pass a something called lotia, which is just kind of a greenish discharge as they're having the puppies.
I got you. There you have it. So that's not the same. That's not the placenta, right? That's not the embryonic.
No, that's not the placenta.
Do dogs have those?
Yeah, and they'll eventually pass those too. That usually comes at the end.
Okay, what is that, by the way?
The placenta is the membrane that helps transport nutrients and oxygen, to the puppies through blood vessels and stuff like that. It's like kind of like a network of blood vessels.
Okay.
So, that's really important. If you have separation of that placenta too early, then that disrupts all of the nutrients babies get, and they'll die.
There you have it. And I know in some cultures, the placenta is actually kind of a spiritual thing, and people actually eat it. The human one, I mean.
Yeah, I've seen male dogs. They must participate in that too, because sometimes they'll eat the placenta. Weirdos.
And I didn't know we were going to go this direction, but I've got a million more questions. So we were talking about nipples on female dogs. We know that males have them as well, but they vary in number. They can have 3 nipples. They can have 8 nipples. If you have more puppies than you have nipples, is it safe to make sure that the runt or the puppy that keeps getting lodged out gets a nipple once in a while, take one dog off and put another on to make sure it's healthy?
Yeah, you have to rotate them, or you have to bottle feed some of them.
Yeah. All right, good deal. Oh, God. I feel like I need to take a shower after that. Dr. Reb Stewart, brought to you by Ed's Pet World down there in beautiful Homewood. They're celebrating 50 years of giving you exotic pets and, of course, great toys. Check out Ed's Pet World. They do a great job. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. This show's been going on long enough now that we're getting lots of emails every single week, and people are asking multiple questions, and I love that. And Tom in Hoover says, I love the show. Please ask Dr. Reb Stewart if he has any personal pet, in quotes, peeves of his own. And does he have any pet peeves about his customers who come in and see him?
The pet peeves that I have are probably the same, as a pet owner, as most other people. My dog counter surfs and eats stuff all the time that he's not supposed to. And it's not really his fault. It's, our fault and our kids' fault, because we are rushing around and maybe we don't put stuff up and we don't close the pantry door. And so, that to me is really frustrating. Yeah. But also when, my dog, he loves to bark at the UPS guy or the FedEx lady, or anyone that comes to our house, and it's just like a 5-alarm fire for 5 minutes. And I don't know, there's probably some people that it doesn't bother at all. I know for a fact that that's true, because it doesn't bother my wife at all. And I don't know. I don't know what it is about it that gets me, other than I'm just, hey, dog, be smarter. They're not even coming inside. Just stop.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Because I have the same. It doesn't bother me if I know they're going to bark, but when they catch me off guard, it scares the hell out of me, and then I kind of get agitated. You know what it is? Dogs are creatures of habit. They're creatures of habit. They know. We potty train them. They know when they eat. They know when we're going for a ride. I can't even say ride in my house. My dogs go crazy. I have to spell out REDE to my kids. I said, do not say the word. And they say the word. The dogs go crazy. They do it just to get on my nerves. They're creatures of habit. And when they bark at the same thing over and over and over again, you get to a point where, why don't they know? And I can tell you the truth. They don't care. They don't mind. The barking doesn't bother the dog. They don't mind barking. So they just bark even though they know that person's not coming in the house. They don't realize, well, I guess they do realize that it agitates us because we yell at them. But dogs, it doesn't bother a dog to bark. A barking dog doesn't go, wow, this is really annoying. I better stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's right too, because it really is kind of is startling when you're just signing in a quiet house, reading a book, and it's you got to fall out of the chair. But when it comes to things that clients do that are annoying, there's not really the main thing I would say is when they have misinformation, and whether they've gotten that from the internet or gotten it from a friend or gotten it from a breeder, and they are just like so dead set on that being, just 100% factual thing. And it's just not, and you can't talk them out of it. You can't say, this is like almost 20 years, including vet school, of knowledge. And I'm telling you that that's not correct, or that's something that you don't need to worry about, or here's something that you do need to worry about. But they just have misinformation, and it's not necessarily the client's fault. The fault is the source.
Yeah.
So for me, that's probably like probably the only pet peeve that I have, when it comes to clients.
And that's why you should listen to Darkside of the Pooch and give us our questions, because we tell the truth here. info@TonyCurryRadio.net. And by the way, if you're going, I never understood. I mean, people do that at the doctor too. They think they've got it figured. I've got congenital heart disease, and they think that, and they're not hypochondriacs. They've just done research on Google, and they think they know exactly what they got. I'm like, then why the hell are you going to the doctor if you know what to do? So make sure you listen to Dr. Reb. He'll take care of you. Brought to you by Ed's Pet World. TKR app is where you listen to our show 5 days a week. I'm going to talk about UGA here in just a second, but I do have a little bit of a personal story because I have lots of animals. I've had chickens, I've had goats, I've had a cat, which I haven't seen in a month and a half. I've got 2 dogs, but I mentioned last time we did the show, I got a next door neighbor. They're super nice. I love them. My family loves them. They're really nice people, but they have 5 dogs. They have 2 blind dogs. They're all older dogs. There's 4 big ones and 2 small ones, and they bark incessantly at everything. Whenever they let outside, they start barking. And my neighbors, who are really trying to befriend us, are constantly apologizing. And I'm like, listen, it doesn't bother me as long as it's 2 o'clock in the morning. As long as it's not 2 o'clock in the morning, I really don't care. They'll go to about 10 o'clock at night. But talk about a little bit the pack mentality, because I was talking to Johnny, who lives next door. He's the father of the daughter who owns the house. And I said, when you get a group of dogs together, that mob mentality takes over. They start peeing in the house. They start pooping in the house when you introduce a new pet. Talk about what that mob mentality does to a dog's brain, because I said, and they've got 6 dogs, so you can't really let them out one at a time. And I know it's much more easier to let them all out at the same time. But can you talk about how dogs react to that mob mentality?
The thing that we see the most is when you have one aggressive dog, then if one dog becomes aggressive, it's kind of crazy how like multiple dogs will just suddenly become aggressive, and it's like a pile on. Yeah. So we see that, like if we see a dog fight, a dog bite, stuff like that, it can involve multiple dogs, and you would never think would cause a problem. They're the ones that jump in on it, once another dog instigates it. So the mob mentality is something that is, it's known in people, but, also animals. So that's a true story.
Yeah. Can you hear that in the background?
Are they barking?
Yeah. Let me turn the mic up. I mean, I do about 13 shows here. I'm part of about 7 of them. So do the math. It's about 3.5 hours a week. And I swear they know when I'm doing radio. As soon as I close that door, man, something will trigger them off the bark. It's their way of letting us know, hey, I'm still here. And I'm like, I understand. I know you're with me. info@TonyCurryRadio.net. We have another question here for Lynn. She watched the national championship game, no matter when you're listening to this game or this particular show here, the national championship game where Georgia just laid the wood to TCU. It was the Dogs over the Horned Frogs, 65-7. And a lot of people very, very upset that UGA could not make the trip from Georgia to SoCal. And they kept talking. I know they weren't veterinarians, but they were talking about last night, because of the type of dog that UGA is, it couldn't be flown. How does that work? I know you've talked about animals and how they deal with cold weather, how they deal with breathing issues, the pug nose type of dogs that have breathing issues. But why couldn't UGA travel? Why couldn't UGA fly?
Well, I didn't know that. I missed the first quarter and a half.
You missed the best quarter and a half.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I missed the rest of the game, because my son had a sports practice, so I was at that. And then I checked the score when I got home, and I was like, well, All right. I guess I'll just go ahead and watch something else. So I didn't know that Uga wasn't there, but it makes sense because they're not going to drive him across the country. They're going to have to fly him. And I'm not, I think that if they had him in a, like where the passengers sit, I mean, honestly, I think everything would have been fine. I don't know if maybe they worried about the pressure change or something, but I'll tell you that I would not want an English bulldog in, I know they don't put those dogs in the cargo hold. It's not like they're just jamming pets down with the luggage. They do have a special spot in the plane for them that's ventilated.
Yeah.
But if that area, if the oxygen flow in there is not great, then that could really be harmful because those dogs don't oxygenate very well as it is. I mean, most of the time with bulldogs, they're just panting constantly. Yeah. And it's because they have small nostrils and they have elongated soft palates. So like the roof of their mouth goes back really far and it can sometimes get in the way of airflow. And they have these kind of, in their larynx, they have these kind of like protrusions, they're called everted laryngeal sacs. And all of that stuff inhibits their airway. So if they don't have, really good oxygen-rich air, then, they could have some problems. And also, what happens if they breathe really fast, if they get really hot, so the heat plays into it as well, then that causes swelling of this area that we're talking about in the back of their mouth. And so if you already have basically a semi-occluded airway as it is, and then you get too hot and then those areas swell up, well, then you're even more occluded. Yeah. And so, I mean, a dog doesn't get enough oxygen, it's going to die. Yeah. So I would definitely not feel comfortable putting Uga anywhere other than, with a passenger seat. And maybe that just wasn't possible with either their funding or their logistics or whatever.
Yeah, Georgia's got the money. They could have gotten its own oxygen mask is what they could have done in that airplane if they really wanted that dog to be there.
But, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, I feel like that Uga I feel like UGA, the UGA athletic department or whatever, I feel like they kind of passed the buck on this. I think Uga could have made.
I agree with you because that's their mascot. That dog's at every game, for gosh sakes. I was really surprised it wasn't. They did a whole story on it last night. But that someone, you know what? There had to be some Georgia booster that would have been more than happy to put that dog in a car and drive it out to California.
Oh, you know it. Yeah. I mean, they would have fed it caviar the whole way.
Oh, there's no doubt. Anything else going on at Rossbridge Animal Hospital? Any interesting stories you want to share before we let you fly?
Not really, not off the top of my head, just pretty much routine stuff. Dogs and cats getting sick, we make them better. Come and see us.
There you go. 208-0301, 208-0301, Rossbridge Animal Hospital, of course, on Facebook and at Rossbridge Vet on Twitter. Brought to you by Ed's Pet World. Ed's Pet World, been in business for over 50 years. They're getting after it. When they first came on with us, it was like 48 years. They had a great December. Of course, a lot of people wanted to get exotic pets for the holidays and for Christmas, and they'll take care of you. Continue to go down there and ask them questions. They want to make sure your exotic pet is healthy and happy and lives a long, wonderful life. They also have all kinds of great toys. Seth travels the United States looking for all kinds of hard-to-find toys still in the box. If you found some in the attic, he buys, sells, and trays. Check out, of course, Ed's Pet World. Angie and Seth, the entire crew, they're fantastic. I do all my shopping. I'm going down there to fill up my aquarium this week. I'm going aggressive this week, my friend. I'm going to get away from the wussy fish, and I'm going aggressive fish this time. So you can do that down at Ed's Pet World. Dr. Rab, thank you so much, brother. I love you. I appreciate you.
Keep the fungus out of your tank, America.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.